Welcome to Caring Community with your hosts Jay and Diane West. In this community, creative initiatives are welcome. A culture of transformation is normal, and miracles are expected. Welcome to Caring Community.
Hello, I'm Jay.
And I'm Diane.
And this is
Caring Community.
Well, it's good to be back on the air. We've been off for a while because of the coronavirus, but we get to be back here at KPAO, and it's awesome to be back. And we have a special guest with us today, Brenda Banks.
Hello, good to be here today. Thanks
And
for having me.
Brenda is with an organization called Cross Training Services.
Cross Training Center.
Oh, I still messed it up. See, by messing it up, you remember it, okay?
That's right, Cross Training Center.
She'll think I did that accidentally, but it was intentional. So anyway, Cross Training Center, CTC.
Yeah, that's right.
CTC. We went to a CTC, didn't we? Concordia Teachers College.
Yeah. There you go.
It wasn't called Concordia University at the time. It was called Concordia Teachers College. I should be able to remember it now.
There you go. Now you'll remember.
Now I'll always remember.
CTC.
So we met you, I met you, I think like around 2004.
Wow.
2005, 2003.
I don't remember what was going on at that
BC, AD. You were working with Bruce and Ann at the firm.
time. Oh, that's right. Yes.
And you were
Yes.
helping them and up on Maple Street, I think.
That was before I opened Cross Training Center.
That was before, wow. So, but you had the dream and vision then, probably.
I did,
You
yes.
did. So why don't you give us a little history about that dream and vision and some of your locations and some of the things you do, and
Okay.
we'll just chit chat with
Just
you as we
jump
go
in.
along. Yeah.
Well, I'll start right there since you brought that up. So that brings back some memories. So I had this vision that I'll share for about 5 years prior to then, and it came out of Angels on Wheels.
Oh,
So-
yeah, in your buses. Boy, I forgot all
That's
about
right.
Angels on Wheels.
That's
Wow.
right. So for
Okay.
a good 12, 13 years, every Friday night and then a lot of Saturdays and Sundays, we would spend, we meaning myself and a big team, and we grew to like 60 to 70 people. And we would take our buses. We have large buses that are like, people would think of travel buses like you'd see at the airport, that
Right.
sort of thing.
Right.
And we would gather the Christians on the buses, and we'd bring food and supplies. Like in the winter time, it was coats and hats and gloves, and summertime it was mosquito spray and water. And we'd take those supplies to the homeless on the streets. Throughout Omaha, we would do some pretty crazy things, like, really dig in and find people that you wouldn't necessarily see
Right.
regularly. Like we'd go down to the parks and find, just all kinds of things. But
Right.
the bottom line is, we brought the love of Jesus to people on the streets.
How long did you do that? Angels
12
on-
years.
Do you still have
Yeah.
those buses?
Still have a couple of the buses.
Really? They must be in your garage area. 'Cause I don't see them.
At the shop down
Okay.
in our second location.
Okay.
So we did that for a long, long time, and it was just, I could tell you some stories. Back then, people getting healed, people getting set free in a lot of ways. We'd pray for people. Our biggest question back then, and it was kind of the thing of the times, but we would always say, how can I pray for you?
Right.
And that one question just opened up people's hearts, and whether they were a believer or not, we'd get to share with them, because they always, who doesn't believe in prayer? In fact, I'll tell you one quick story. So I met an atheist on the streets one night. He was from Chicago, here for a business event. So kind of a little different than our normal clientele, if you will.
Right.
But, the gospel is the gospel. It's for everybody, right? Anyhow, so we were chatting with him for quite a while and walking along with them, and he just thought what we were doing was so great. But right from the get-go, he knew we were Christians, and he announced he's an atheist. He doesn't believe. And so we just loved on him, shared with him, asked him about his family and his job and, why he's here and his travels and on and on and on. And, as we're walking, and then we're about ready to part, he was going to go one way or we're going the other. And it was just a group of about 5 of us, because what happens when we got to the streets is we'd split up into groups and minister to people. And so, and he was really, like he'd say he was an atheist a few times, right? And at the end of the sidewalk, I just said, you know, it was really good to meet you. Is there anything I can pray for you for? And he just gave me the list. And I said, well, is it okay if we just pray right now? And he says, sure.
Wow.
So it just goes to show you
Yeah.
that even atheists believe in
Well-
prayer. I mean, you know, I mean, we could talk about that all day, right? But it was
Right.
just so cool.
You know, just
And-
I offer prayer a lot in public settings, at the grocery store, at hotels,
Yes.
on airplanes. I got lots of stories. Hardly ever does anybody turn you down, regardless of their beliefs.
Exactly.
You know,
They always, because we always have things that we need
right,
the Lord to know about, right?
right.
And we want to share. So anyhow, that's just one little story, but we had so much time, so many great times on the streets, and it was not only about ministering to the folks, it was also about ministering to ourselves and lifting up the body of Christ so that we could learn how to interact in a loving, kind way with strangers, right? So I could tell you a lot of stories, but anyhow, moving on. During a season, about maybe 4 years before kind of transitioning to Cross Training Center, one night I just started getting a little bit frustrated because the folks that were homeless that we would minister to, mostly around the shelters and so forth, and down in the homeless parks, if you will, those were the folks that were really deep on my heart. And we would share with them, and they'd, have this Jesus moment, and we'd help them get apartments, we'd help them get jobs, we'd help them get from one place to another, and, we did all kinds of things. We had Bible studies during the week, we picked them up for churches, and we drove them to different churches throughout the city at different seasons. But it seemed like you saw the same people over and over and over again. And it was really frustrating because it was like, I know the Word of God. I know they're getting some of this, but it was like they weren't being transformed in a way that changed their life. Like they're off the streets and they're working and they're happy and all of that. And so I really began to cry out to the Lord and say, I don't know, are we doing this wrong? What do we need to do? And that's when he gave me the vision for Cross Training Center. And so fast forward a little bit, 7 years later, after working with
Can I
the
interrupt?
mortgages.
Wasn't there an
Sure.
in-between section with some density housing or something?
Oh, yes. We did a lot of that. So we did, through that season, we did a number of things. One of which we worked with some housing. We tried to get some people housed. And we had some success. But again, it was the frustration of there's something missing, And I just cried out to the Lord, what is it that's missing? What is it? Why isn't this sticking, so to speak? And what he began to show me really was that what they needed was jobs so that they could take care of themselves.
Yeah.
Because honestly, who wants to be taken care of
Right.
if you can take care of yourself, right? And I know there's people that can't.
Independence.
We understand that. But yes, independence and, feeling good about what you're doing, you're contributing to society, you're taking care of your own family, you're taking care of yourself. And in America, how does that happen? Well, it starts with a job, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We have a new guy coming to our church, and probably have him on sometime, and I won't mention his name right now, but he just got out of prison. And he's been in prison for 16 years for bank robberies over in Council Bluffs. And, he said he was very grateful, wonderfully grateful to get a job, as soon as he got out. And he said, because of that job, I can have a little apartment. It's small, but I can pay for that. I have a car, I paid for that. He's getting his life back together.
Yes.
And he has a job, that's
Dignity.
Dignity,
Yeah.
keyword. Absolutely, and that's what we realized that was a missing piece. And so I had to transition. I didn't know about full-time ministry and how that would work. I quit my job, a long-time job.
Well, you've been
good
faking
money.
it really good if you don't know how to do it, because you're
No.
really good at it.
Oh,
so.
well, thanks. But it was a new thing for me. I was on corporate ladder. I was climbing that corporate ladder, and I loved it. I was in the financial world, and before that, real estate, and I loved that. But it was my my heart wasn't filled with that. You know, it was like that was my worldly thing that,
Right.
you know, I had wanted to do. Anyhow, so bottom line is I knew I had to give that up in order to do what God was calling me to.
Was
And
that
so I
difficult?
did. And that what?
Was that difficult?
Well, it wasn't. Okay, so there was like, you have that apprehension of, okay, how's this going to work?
Right.
And you think you've got it kind of figured out, right? You know, I had a little bit of money in a 401k, very little. When I look back now, I'm like, whoa, were you crazy?
Yeah.
You thought that was going to last a while? But it wasn't hard in the fact
Apparently
that I
it did.
knew.
Apparently it did last a while.
Well, it wasn't hard in the fact that I knew I had to do it. It was like you're compelled.
Yeah.
And so, and it's faith, it's that walk of faith. And, you know, so I knew there were some things I had to do to transition. And one of them was a lifetime thing that I wanted to do was get my degree. I didn't have it. I graduated from high school and got right into the business world.
Oh, wow.
And so I wanted to do that. And I thought, I can't open up this ministry and not have that. So it was just the way the Lord planned it for me. So I went to Grace
Right.
University and I graduated from there. That's during the time that I worked for doing mortgages. So I
Okay.
did mortgages full
Okay.
or part-time.
I knew you got a degree
And-
there, but I'd forgotten about the timeline. So,
So
our next guest,
I'm learning something.
our next
There,
guest got a
yeah.
good
So-
degree from Grace University
yeah,
too.
Grace, love Grace, love
And
Grace.
now they're no
Maybe
longer
when
in
it closed.
existence. So,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So.
So, yeah, so that was the kind of transition period for me. And then, as the Lord is so good, shortly before I graduated from Grace, Candace at Open Door Mission offered me a job. And, you know, that wasn't really like what I had planned. I thought I'm going to graduate one day and open Cross Training Center the next. But the Lord chose us, and so I went and worked for her. It was a great experience and helped me a lot in understanding, you know, I was in the development side of things, so, you know, raising money, that sort of thing. And it was about a year and a half later that I left there and then opened up Cross Training. So I was kind of a long story to tell you how it got launched,
Right.
but
It's okay. It's good.
literally we launched with somebody. I'll tell you some long, really awesome stories of how God provided. But the bottom line is we ended up in a building that was probably not it was far from a beautiful building, but it was what we needed. And we started with 5 men that I picked up at the Francis House. One day I drove in there and I said, look, I'm going to start this program and it's all about learning job skills so that we can help you get jobs. And if you want to be a part of it, jump in my van. I had seats for 5 and 5 people got in.
Wow. Wow.
I drove them to the building and I said, okay, here's this building and this is my plan and I really don't know how we're going to do it, but let's get started. And prior to this, a couple months earlier, literally, I didn't know. I knew that it was about vocational training. I knew it was about helping people get job skills so that they could work and learn the soft skills needed. So I had enough experience helping people get jobs that it didn't work, that I knew there was more to it than just help them get a job and that sort of thing. So I was asking the Lord, how are we going to do this hands-on training that, you know, we had the idea of, and I thought it was going to be construction because that's kind of a thing in Omaha, right?
Yeah.
You know, construction industry is good. But he showed me through some little bit long story, so I won't go into that, but some specific things. He showed me, no, we're going to recycle electronics. Like, okay, well, have no clue what that means, but we'll
Yeah.
do that.
Wow.
So I knew that we needed some electronics to recycle, and it was coming up towards the fall season, and so I just said, well, we're going to do a collection event and see if we can get some electronics. And little did I know, through just 30 days of marketing, signs, and a little bit of radio and telling people here and there, we ended up doing a collection event where we had a semi full of electronics
Wow.
in about a 4-hour period of time, plus another equivalent to about a half a semi. And
I remember you had collection boxes or something just for phones
Yes,
in those days.
yep, we
Just now
did.
came to me. I'd
We
forgotten
did.
all about that
We
too.
did.
So yeah.
We had it out, the collection event out at Skate Days, 132nd and L Street. And a friend of mine, Jim Bender, I called him up before the event and I said, you know, I have a feeling this is a little bigger than I think. And I've got this little truck and I've got this box truck, but I think I kind of need something else. Do you happen to have something I can borrow? And he says, well, I can drop a trailer over there. And I'm like, okay, trailer should work. Well, we laughed because I didn't know he meant a semi-trailer.
Right.
I thought he meant like a 20-foot trailer.
Right.
And so then as the time went on and I realized, oh, he's going to put a semi-trailer there, I'm like, that's a little overkill, but oh well, we'll go with it. Like I don't have anything else. Oh my goodness, I don't know what I had done if we wouldn't have that semi-trailer, because we had hundreds of cars backed up wanting to drop off electronics.
Wow.
And I had no idea the industry, there was such a need. God did.
Yeah.
And so we took
Now,
all those
And I'm just facilitating because we have about 10
Yeah.
minutes, so I want to make sure we get to some things. You also do cars, right?
So yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that's where it started. So yeah, we then began to refurbish computers. Over time, we started recycling. Then we decided there's good computers here, so we learned how to be a Microsoft authorized refurbisher, and we began to teach that to our students. And then we eventually opened up a little bitty store that we could sell computers and electronics. And then one day we needed to fix our truck, and one of our students said, I can fix it. I'm like, oh good, because we don't have the money. So he fixed it, and I thought, well, let's do automotive.
Yeah.
So then we began our automotive side of things, and then we had a little kind of room that we could rent out. So we said, hey, let's rent this out for a little extra cash.
So tell me a little bit,
all
'cause
those things have evolved.
I know, because I've been around you a lot, been to your center, seen a lot of things at the computers, but I've never been to the car thing. So tell me what you do when you fix up
the car?
cars. Do you
Okay.
sell them? Do you give them away? Do you fix up cars for people who can't afford to fix up their cars? What do you do?
Right, so it's twofold. We have a full service automotive center. So we have 2 mechanics full-time that are certified. And those mechanics, they're on staff. Now, our students who want to learn mechanical skills, they go and they watch and they work with those mechanics so that they're learning job skills. Now, we don't let them touch customer cars for obvious reasons. But the cars that are donated to us, those cars is what are hands-on experience for our students. So they diagnose, they work on them, they do everything from changing oil to pulling motors, everything in between. Air conditioners, you name it, we do it.
Wow.
And that's where they get hands-on experience from mechanical skills. Then we take those vehicles and we sell them to the open public, but first we try to get them to one of our students that is graduating, or other people who are looking for, that are really low income and need that help. Now, we don't ever give a car away. We always sell it, but we do sell it lower side of market value, and we do payment plans and that sort of thing. Our real main focus, what we really love to do, is get those cars to people who absolutely don't have any other way of getting a car, and they're transitioning from unemployment to employment, or going back to school, that sort of thing. And then my personal favorite is to help people start businesses. So we have a lot of vans, trucks donated to us, and we've helped people start lawn mowing companies, all kinds of different things.
That's
A
cool.
Where's the
locksmith
automotive
and so forth.
center located?
45th and Sorensen.
45th and so on.
And then Cross Training Center is at,
We must drive right by it every time we go up to Sorensen. I just don't remember seeing it.
yep, it backs up to Sorensen, so it's literally on Redmond, but it's
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
backs up.
by Trinity
You
Hill
probably
Foursquare.
see, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, 'cause I
You know where
Redmond
Cubby's is?
Yeah, I
It's
know where Cubby's
attached.
is. Yep.
The same parking lot basically
okay.
on the other end.
Okay, good.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Now I
So
know.
it's about
Thank you.
5 miles from our center. The Cross Training Center is at basically 72nd and Military. And so we call it Cross Automotive. That's what the automotive shop is called. And then we have Cross Electronic Recycling. And our store where you can buy computers and electronics is Redeemed Computers and Electronics. And then our social hall is
And
Cross
help our
Social
guests
Hall.
understand, if somebody can't afford a computer, what's the average cost, would you say, of a of a desktop or a laptop at your
Yep.
store for somebody?
They start at $90 and go up. Probably average is about 110, 120. And we have a big range. So it depends on what somebody needs.
And these computers have been,
we,
with your techs, have been gone over. We've donated computers there that they've then refurbished. You know, they clean the hard drive. They, you know, my first concern, I remember talking to Mike when I came in, was because I have so many financial records on my computer.
Absolutely.
And I thought, I don't want any of that leaking out somewhere else, you know, because there's so much identity theft and
Right.
everything else. But he assured me, in fact, he even took out of the laptop. He said, watch, I'm going to take it out. It's going to go in the pile for cleaning right now.
yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
So the most important thing to know is why we do what we do. So I know we do a lot of fun things. Recycling is great, and you know, it's great to keep the environment clean and all of that. But the most important thing is we're a training center. All of our students come through there. We work with men and women both who are unemployed, undereducated, people who've been incarcerated, homeless, live in poverty for a lot of reasons. And what we do is help them get to that place where they can get a job. And not just a job. I mean, most of our students, when they start, they say, Brenda, just help me get a job. Any job will do.
Yeah.
And we say, no, no, no. Well, you need a job that's going to be on a career path, that's
Right.
going to support you, number one, but also fulfill that need, right? Because if you're in a job that doesn't fulfill that need in you and give you some hope for a future and a raise and, you know, to take care of your family, whatever it is, then it's not going to be, you know, it's going to be another dead-end job. You know, you might be in there a month, you might be in there 3 or 4 months, but it's not going to be sustainable.
Right.
And so we really focus on that. And what that takes, for the folks that we work with, it starts with structure. So we have a time clock as an example. That's the number one way that we help them realize 9 o'clock means 9 o'clock, not
Right.
3 minutes after or 20 minutes after or 10 o'clock. Here's your schedule. We help them
That's good.
learn that structure. And then the other part, quite frankly, after structure, the second part of it is hygiene, how to show up to work, not only on time, but prepared to work, prepared to be around coworkers and other people that want to enjoy being around you
Right.
because of what you're wearing and how you look and smell, right?
Right.
Those are important things that our students miss until they've been trained. And I know sometimes, you know, we take that stuff for granted, but no.
Well,
those
when you're
are
on the streets, you don't maybe have the means
Absolutely.
to be able to do that. So they've gone this long without.
Yes, and it's habitual, isn't it? So, you know, these are habits that we have to retrain and help them learn, right? So,
Well, and it starts with our thoughts.
exactly.
You know,
It's all a mindset.
Our message last week was learning to use mental floss. Like
Yeah, I love
dental
that.
floss for your teeth. Well, mental, we got, there's so many thoughts that just hang around our brains that bring decay and disease and everything else to us and wrong thinking. Listen, we have about 3 minutes left. Give me a short vision burst, you know, the building you're trying to build and everything else.
Okay,
Give a little
so-
future here because we're really just about 3 minutes
Yeah.
left. So
Well, we're in a capital campaign, kind of silently right now, but we're in a capital campaign to raise money to build a 10,000 square foot warehouse. It's kind of like an addition just outside our existing building, right next to our existing building, and that will allow us to expand all of the areas that we currently have, and also additionally we'll add 2 areas. We'll also be adding a commercial kitchen. One of our great needs is to be able to serve food every day for our students. They come hungry, but we don't have the commercial kitchen to do that. So this will allow us to do that. Currently, we're just bringing in, you know, using hot plates and stuff like that. So that's a big thing that we're doing. I just like people to know that there's lots of ways to volunteer, lots of ways to serve. We always need prayer warriors. We need prayer for our students, for us, for everything that we're doing. There's lots of ways to serve and just jump in. And you can learn all about us at crosstc.com. Cross, C-R-O-S-S, TC for trainingcenter.com.
and
Cool.
give them the phone number and give them the address, physical address too. So.
Yeah, the Cross Training Center is at 5030 North 72nd Street. It's just about a quarter mile north of Military. And a lot of people who are familiar with the area know it's the old radio building. Journal Broadcast was there for years. And then our, like I said earlier, our automotive shop is 43rd and Sorensen.
You're kind of across the street from that golf course, too.
Directly across the street from the golf course,
Yeah,
exactly.
which is connected to Benson Park and that whole area. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, so easy to find, big
It
sign
is.
out front.
Yep.
And beautiful
Yeah.
building. Just did a lot of cement work outside and everything.
Yeah,
Seeing that
that's
things
fun.
are improving. So,
And everybody wants to know about the electronic recycling. We take anything with a cord, battery, or motor. You can learn more about that on the website.
there is some cost, like a TV or something would cost you to drop it off, but
Exactly.
otherwise there's no cost in dropping
Right.
this off.
Most everything's free.
Yeah.
You can learn about that on the website easily. crosstc.com, and then that'll link you to crossrecycling.com as well.
Right. So it's great
Awesome.
to have Brenda Banks with us. Wish we had time to do about 5 more shows with
Yeah.
you, and but we'll have you back sometime.
Sure.
And thanks for coming out.
Thanks for having
Cross
me.
Training Center, not Cross Training Services. So but I'll get it right eventually. I've only lived here 20 years now. I'll get some of these names right after a while. So thanks for coming out. God bless you. Thanks for everything you
Thank
do.
you.
Thanks for tuning in to Caring Community today, and we'll see you on the next show. God bless you. Bye-bye.